Hey guys, it's Danny. Today I need to get around to repotting these little orchids. Well, I do have more orchids to repot, but one step at a time. Repotting tends to tire me, and I'm looking at a spring full of repotting since some of my orchids will reach their 2-year mark in the same medium and some really do need repotting. So it's a very good idea to take it one step at a time, and since we didn't do a repotting on this channel for quite a while, I thought I'll take you along, talk a little bit about these miniature orchids, and yeah, just chill a little bit. The weekend is upon us, so yeah, let's just take it easy. So don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? I do post 3 times a week. So with that said, let's just start with the tiniest of them all, shall we? And this is the thin orchid. Ugh. With the Invisalign, it's even harder to pronounce. Cyprus. I might have butchered the name, which do you even see? It is the tiniest little thing. I might in the future have some different plans with it, but for now, I just want to pot it up. So if you're wondering what tiny little pot I could ever use for this orchid, I do actually have a tiny pot. Ta-da! Look how tiny this guy is. I think I purchased it from Orchids Deluxe. It is a Teku brand. It appears that Teku makes most orchid pots on the market, here in Europe at least. And really, it is tinier than the standard super tiny 8-centimeter pot. Or actually, oh, it's not as tall, but it is a little bit wider. Anyway, it is the tiniest pot that I actually have. So I think she will be okay as long as I maintain it airy and breathable. After all, this is an epiphytic orchid, reason why I can just put it on the table and she's okay. I have been actually keeping this one bare rooted in the little cup for the past 2 months or so, ever since I dismantled my terrarium. So yeah, that's the good thing with epiphytes. You can just put them on the table and forget about, well, not forget about them, you have to water them, but they will be okay. So let me just get my tray and my media. Now with this one, I know that I said that I would try a sort of mini terrarium of sorts, but there are a few things that at the moment aren't just aligning properly. So first of all, it will actually require a lot of attention from me if I mount this orchid. I will need to spray it or water it in a way or another every day, which at the moment I cannot do. And also, I was planning to mix this orchid up with other tiny orchids and do a little decorative thing. Well, I cannot because we're in a lockdown and I forgot my gloves. All right, so I really don't want to spend my time at the post offices, and the nurseries or sellers that I usually buy from, they don't have much variety either at the moment because it's winter time. Maybe the situation affected them as well in the way of stocks. Anyway, it's just not the moment for that project, but I can definitely pot this orchid, and when the time is right and if I have this brilliant idea one day and orchids to execute it, I can just unpot it and mount it and do whatever I want with it. In order for her to survive right now with my lifestyle, I need to pot it up. So bark, sphagnum moss, my typical mixture, and also a few beads of slow release fertilizer. There you go, 2 beads should be enough. And there we are, she should be just fine. Now in this pot, since it is so tiny, I really don't need to add extra ventilation holes or anything because yeah, the tinier the pot, the faster it will dry out, obviously. But I think it should be okay. I don't think it's going to exhaust me way too much, especially because it has sphagnum moss at the bottom, so I can definitely leave a little bit of water here in the pot, which will be dragged up towards the surface and act like a little bit of a reservoir, which is how I usually go about all of my orchids. And there we go, that was fast. Miniature orchids are fast to repot. So this was the Cyprus Tixie. Oh, hi. Oh, goodness. Oh, you didn't do that. Joey just pooped on my camera. Don't tell my boyfriend. So here is the Cyprus Tixie. Oh, what a name. So here is the Cyprus Tixie in bloom. What am I saying? So here's the Tixie all potted up. This was fast. Let's move on to the next. Alrighty, next up we have an orchid which was supposed to go in the terrarium, but that awful fungus started to take over and I decided against it, and then I was thinking that I would redo the terrarium or maybe not. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I don't want to do it at least now. I'm gonna have more opportunities in the future. This is the Zoetrophon, no, this tag is incorrect. Zoetrophon atropurpureum, or maybe I'm incorrect. You're gonna have the proper name on the screen. So I discovered that actually these tiny Restripia-like orchids, they don't do bad for me. For whatever reason, I used to think that they would. I used to think that I don't have the climate for them, and I might not have the proper climate, but for whatever reason, they actually work out pretty okay for me. I was thinking I would have a sort of Masdevallia situation with them, but I didn't. So hey, why not? Maybe I'm gonna get more of them. They are very tiny and awfully cute. They're very versatile as well. They're epiphytes, but I think they do need a lot more water than your typical phalaenopsis. But I feel like many people don't really get into them because some of them are marketed, let's put it like that, as being cooler growing. And judging by the Masdevallia experience or Dracula experience that many of us have, which is not a good experience, I think these orchids are just a little bit overlooked due to how they're presented. Or at least this is how it translated to me. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think they're a little bit misrepresented? I feel like they are, because they're actually pretty easy. In my grow room at least, which is anything but cool for most of the time. So yeah, I might actually look into having more of these. Also, they do grow pretty fast, so it's easy to propagate them if you just split them, which I will not do with this one, but it's easy to split them. They're sympodial. So if I so desire one day to make this terrarium-like situation set up, and I will need some orchids, I can just divide my Restripia-like orchids, and there we go, orchids for the terrarium. Alright, so for this little orchid, I do have a tiny little pot, which I didn't purchase, I actually got from another orchid that I purchased a while back. And these pots are really interesting. They're not very tall, but they're wide, which is something kind of hard to find. And for this, it's exactly what I need, because you can see this orchid does tend to grow more on a horizontal level. I don't necessarily need length when it comes to roots, but depth. So this is coming in handy. By the way, I just got a phone call that I kind of need to vent about. So a while back, I redid my aquarium. If you guys remember, I think it's Mycorrhizarium. It's a plant that, if properly taken care of, it can take over the aquarium. And that's exactly what it did. It took over everything, and the only way to completely get rid of it was to rescape the aquarium, since it kind of started to become a carpet plant, but not in the cute way. It completely suffocated my existing carpet plant, which was a hemianthus. Okay, you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, long story short, I needed to rescape that aquarium because I could not properly clean it. Gunk was being trapped under these invasive plants. Also, my carpet plant was dying. Yeah, it wasn't a cool situation. And the medium was already over 1.5 years old. It was about time to rescape it in a few months anyway. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna rescape it because the parameters will go wild very, very soon. I also wanted to change the external filter anyway. So I went to the pet shop to purchase my materials, purchase substrate, a new filter, external filter. I was prepared to completely redo it. And due to the world situation, the pet shop didn't have everything I needed. It didn't have the substrate, which is a very important component in an aquarium. I wanted a specific substrate that I knew. So what I decided to do is actually purchase a tinier aquarium for my betta fish, because they did have substrate, they just did not have enough. So with what they had in stock at the moment, I could do a brand new home for my little mango, which I did, and it turned out really, really cute. But the problem was, I got one of those all-in-one type of aquariums with the light and the filter, but it was a good deal. It had a hang-on filter, the light wasn't very bad. Anyway, it was a good deal and it just looked nice. So I bought it. The problem was the lamp was broken. And I'm not entirely sure how it was broken, because I pulled it out of the box. It had one of those metal mobile arms, and when I went to straighten it, it bent easier than it should. And then I realized it was broken at the connection with the actual lamp. And then I looked closer, and a piece of plastic, a component, was just dangling inside the lamp. So really, it didn't look like I broke it, because all I did was, as you're supposed to straighten it, it was folded in the box with that flexible arm. So I unfolded it and it felt off. And then I saw the component inside the lamp. So I went back to the pet shop returning it, asking if they have a replacement. Not that I didn't have a lamp, because I did, I had my Dennerle one, but I really wanted to have it. It looked nice. It looked like something I could use maybe for a tinier terrarium, maybe for orchids. Anyway, it's always nice to have an LED lamp, right? Although it was tiny, it was like the cheapest thing in the entire set. And the person there said that they didn't have any to replace and that they would have to send it to the company that owns the pet shop. And they will let me know. All right, so a while passed and they just called me now, and apparently they will have to return it to me and I will have to super glue it. Excuse me? Super glue it? Yes, super glue it. Why? Because you broke it. Really? Really? Oh, so I have to super glue it. Yes, because they will not touch it because it is broken and you broke it because you forced it. Really? Am I the one who planted that component inside the lamp as well? Probably I am. So what exactly am I supposed to super glue? That's their option for me. They cannot do anything because I need to glue it with super glue. Okay, let's pretend that they think I broke it, which I didn't, but let's presume I did. How did I implant that little bit of plastic inside the lamp? I must have superpowers. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm a little upset. And not because of a tiny little lamp, which I can order it off of Amazon if I so desire. Maybe I can order an even better lamp. It's a tiny, tiny little, I think it's 3 watts. 3 watts LED lamp. It's not a big deal. It's the principle. How can you tell your customer, even if they broke the thing, okay? How can you tell them you need to glue it with super glue? What? How am I supposed to know how that thing works? How am I supposed to know how to open it? Because in the instruction manual, it doesn't say anything about me opening it and fixing it myself. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. Why does the customer need to fix it themselves with super glue? Yeah, I don't find that safe. What if I mess it up and it becomes a hazard? It's a thing I plug into the plug. It runs electricity. And by the looks of things, some wires were kind of hanging out as well. Either you keep it, you don't give it back to the customer and say, sorry, it does not cover our refund policy or our replacement or things of the sorts, what to do. Either you replace the darn thing. You don't say you glue it to the customer. That's not safe. Anyway, long story short, I'm not buying any electricals from now on from that pet shop. And I'm gonna purchase a different filter from a different company because glue it with super glue, they said. You broke it, they said. Let's see how many aquarium components I buy from now on from you guys. Anyway, sorry for that little rant, but glue it with super glue. What on earth are you talking about? Okay, anyway. So my Zoetrophon atropurpureum is repotted. And, oh, I think I'm gonna wash a little bit the tag as well. And we're pretty much done with it. I'm gonna move on to the next orchid. Alrighty, moving on to the mini phalaenopsis. This one is an orchid I purchased a few months ago actually because I think I wanted to do a thumbnail and I didn't have any phalaenopsis in bloom. And also, it's a mini phal that I don't have. If you guys know me, I love mini phals. I'm actually collecting them. So I got it from IKEA. There's no more tag, but it was from IKEA. And well, the roots are already starting to grow outside of the pot. It is time to repot it, even though, as you can see, I have a brand new flower spike growing. Now, this can actually happen if in your grow room or in your room you do have kinda lowish temperatures. And actually in the winter time, I do keep my AC on 18 degrees Celsius, which is a good temperature for all of the orchids that I grow. Even the warmer ones were at the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to temperature, but they're absolutely fine. But the thing is, some phalaenopsis are actually triggered into blooming by temperatures of 17, 18 degrees Celsius. And especially when you purchase flower shop phalaenopsis that are a little bit off season, which this one is. I purchased it, I think in November. And having this orchid in full bloom in November is not incredibly realistic for the vast majority of people. Anyway, so this one was a little bit off season. You can have the surprise of having another flower spike, brand new spike, not a secondary spike, starting to develop. if your environment is rather cool in the nighttime, which mine was. 18 degrees Celsius is a good temperature to trigger spikes on many phalaenopsis orchids. And even though it's not incredibly cool, phalaenopsis orchids are actually warm growers, and it doesn't take a lot of temperature drop for them to initiate flower spikes. So this is why my little phalaenopsis is producing yet another very, very tiny flower spike. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. I had this happen in the past. If it happens to you, don't worry about it. Just enjoy the flower spikes. And if you have to repot the orchid, you can actually repot it. In my experience, in the vast majority of times, if the phalaenopsis is healthy and has a good root system, which this one has, it's not even gonna feel the transition to a brand new medium if it's, let's say, a close enough medium with the one it came in. So let's say if this orchid would have been potted in moss, which can stay rather moist, and I wanted to pot it only in bark, very big chunks of bark, which are very airy, it might suffer a little bit of shock, and it might mean that the flower spike will stop growing. Doesn't always happen, but it can happen. But this one was potted in cocoa fiber, or actually cocoa peat, which I see is the new trend here in my area, which does retain water, is also airy, and I plan to transfer it to moss and bark, which does retain water and is airy. It's a very kind of similar setup when it comes to the effect on the orchid. So I'm not worried that I'm gonna lose the flower spike. Even if I will, oh. Well, I did lose the flower spike. Oh gosh, this isn't my day. It's okay, it happens. I'm still a little upset about that phone call. Of all the things to be upset with, I need to get over it. Yeah, anyway, this happens. It's okay, I have 50 phalaenopsis here in the back. It's fine. But yeah, a little fail caught on video, which is not the first, not the last for me. Do you guys remember the dendrobium fail? Oh boy, if you don't, I'll share it with you down below in the description. I think I also have a video with the vanilla. Yeah, I think I titled it Having a Clumsy Day. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in the description as well. Might as well have a laugh at my expense. Okay, gotta snap out of it. So I'm gonna go rinse a little bit the root system and come back with a brand new pot for my little mini phal. Okay, I also realized that I forgot to add slow release fertilizer to my zoetrophon because I was ranting, but it's okay. You can always add these little beads after with a long nose scissors. I'm doing the beauty influencer thing that they do. This actually makes sense because some cameras don't want to focus unless like it's a solid background. I don't have autofocus on my camera. I like to manually focus it, so I don't really do it, but sometimes if I put it in front of a very busy background, you will not be able to see anything, so that's why YouTubers do this. It actually makes sense. Anyway, so you can actually insert these little beads, or rather beads, inside the medium. Slippery little thing. No more than 3 or 4 should be okay. Alrighty, done. We can now move on to the phalaenopsis. Okay, so for the phalaenopsis, I will actually go for a much bigger pot because even if this is a mini, the roots are quite large. And I do have some minis in the back, which root-wise, they kind of look like medium-sized ones. So I'm not gonna try to force it back into the same size pot. I'm going to put it here, and in about a year's time, it's gonna fill it up, I'm pretty sure. So same type of medium, moss at the bottom, bark at the top. I keep things even. It helps out with watering to know that you're kind of watering everybody in the same way. And this time, let's not forget the slow release fertilizer. By the way, since this video is not really going the educational route, but rather just talking about stuff, on Monday, I'm going to the orthodontist to put my attachments in because I think he wanted to start us off a little bit more smoother into the whole Invisalign experience. So the first 3 trays, which we changed weekly, by the way, they didn't have attachments. They did stuff because half of my mouth is pretty sore, so they're doing something, they're not useless. They didn't have spaces for the attachments. So on Monday, we're going to switch to tray 4, which they kept at the cabinet, because that one requires attachments. And oh boy, I have a ton of attachments. I have 22. yeah, I do have the other trays as well, which is not something everybody gets, but actually our orthodontist is family. So we can pretty much call him whenever and send him pictures if anything goes wrong. But anyway, as far as I understand, that's when the fun begins. So yeah, part of me is super excited because yeah, I know these things are working, but they're definitely not working as much as when my teeth will have attachments. Some of my teeth need to be pulled down in order to align them, and obviously without attachments you cannot do that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about kind of starting it, and part of me was like, well, I don't think I would have minded to have attachments from the first day. But yeah, I can see how for some people it can be overwhelming. Luckily though, I'm good at listening to orders. I'm not gonna disobey, especially doctors. So yeah, anyway, I think I would have been okay without like the adjustment period, but I might end up being very grateful for it. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, on Monday, the fun begins and we might have to deal with an even bigger lisp. I hope not, because I just got used to this one. But anyway, by the way, if any of you guys are under treatment at the moment, which many of you are, I saw a lot of comments that many of you either had Invisalign or currently have. If your teeth are a little bit sore and they're not sensitive, you know what the best thing is? Very cold fruit salads. I am thriving on those. Mango and pineapple are the best for me because they're a little bit chewy, and you know when you have teeth discomfort, you feel like chewing, which is a little weird, but I know you have this sensation. Yeah, fruit are chewy but not crunchy, so they're the perfect consistency, and if they're cold, like freezing cold, they just numb everything. I think they de-swell anyway. So yeah, that's my favorite thing at the moment. I feel like scratching an itch I didn't know I had. But yeah, we're pretty excited for the end result. And getting into the habit really wasn't all that bad. As I was saying, we'll see what happens when we have attachments. I feel like we're gonna struggle a little bit then, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna be all that bad. I just hope the lisp will not be something like this. Which, that's a high possibility. Alrighty, so we're done with the phalaenopsis, and I think that is about it for today. I feel like I'm having a bit of a clumsy day, and the best thing to do is to not do much. So the last orchid I wanted to repot was the Cattleya walkeriana, but this one can wait a little longer. I repotted it more than a year and a half ago. In a few months, it will have 2 years since it's in this medium, which does not look friendly anymore. But I think it can wait just a little longer. These three will have to do, and well, apart from that little rant and the little mishap with the flower spike, which, you know, it happens, I kind of enjoyed today's video, or making today's video. I was not planning on making it this way, but I feel it was a little less formal, a little bit more friendly. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me today. Leave me a comment down below, tell me whatever you want, and with that said, I hope you have a great weekend. Subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos, tutorials, experiments, updates, and other fun orchid subjects. If you wish to support the channel, do consider becoming a member or visit the merch store linked down below in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's always nice to stay in touch there as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!